Part 1. We lived together for 11 years. No marriage, no wedding, no white dress. He used to say, a piece of paper doesn't mean anything. And back then, I believed him. I thought love was what mattered most. Everything else we would build together. We were already a family. We had 3 kids. 3 daughters. We both dreamed of a house by the woods, quiet evenings, Saturdays with cartoons and Sundays with homemade pies. He was charismatic. Everyone loved him. My friends, his co-workers. Your man's a gem, they'd say. And I believed them. He could do anything. Fix shelves, joke with a cashier, stand up for someone in a line. Next to him, I felt ordinary. I stayed home. Cooked. Cleaned. Did laundry. I was a shadow. But for him, that was convenient. I carried everything. When our first daughter was born, he cried. Told me, I've never loved anyone this much. With the second he said, now you're a real woman. But when the third arrived, he stood by the hospital bed and simply muttered. I knew it. He had really wanted a boy. Said he needed a son, a legacy, a little guy to do man stuff with. Not just girls all the time. I smiled. Because if I didn't, I'd cry. But those words didn't just pass by. They stayed. Not like a knife, more like a hook. And they stayed in me for a long time. I held onto his every word. Because his words fed my tired soul. And I wanted to believe we were still us. That he was still mine. The first few years, he truly was there. He helped with baths, read bedtime stories. But eventually, something broke. I became the mother of 3. And he became the man we only saw at night, and not even every night. Part 2. Mistresses and alcohol. It all started with little things. Late nights at work. New cologne. Sudden trips to visit a buddy at his summer house. Back then, I had no idea that summer house meant the same bar waitress he flirted with every Saturday. Then I randomly found a bottle of whiskey under the car seat. He brushed it off. It's a gift. I didn't drink it. But the next day, I smelled alcohol on his breath when he kissed the kids. And then, like some bad cliché, everything started unraveling. The first mistress, Kotia, was our neighbor. We used to walk our kids to daycare together. I saw how she flirted. He laughed. And then he started disappearing for an hour or 2 after a walk with our daughter. The second one was a waitress, young, heavily made up, her Instagram full of captions like little tigress looking for cuddles. He openly showed her photos to his friend, right there in the kitchen, while I was scrubbing the floor. Alcohol became part of our life. For him, an excuse to relax. For me, a reason to stay silent. Because if I spoke up, I'd be the hysterical one. And I didn't want to be that. I wanted my daughters to have a father. Part 3. One evening, I was putting the girls to bed, just like always. They reached out their little hands. Mommy, one more song. Just one more. And right then, I heard someone tapping on the glass. I walked out of the room, peeked through the curtain, and there she was. Kotia. Standing under our window. She didn't see me. She thought I was asleep. She was there to call for him. I stood frozen, jaw clenched. The kids weren't even asleep yet, and he was already opening the back door for her. The next morning? Like nothing happened. Where are my socks? What's for breakfast? When I asked, are you sleeping with her? He laughed. He actually laughed. God, you're so boring. It's always either sex or tears with you. And then, under his breath. You haven't been interesting in a long time. For the first time in my life, I saw something in his eyes. Not indifference. Contempt. And I knew there was nothing I could do. Because I was dependent. I had no income. And I had 3 daughters to raise. Part 4. It was a Saturday. That evening, he went out to the sauna with the guys. He came back around 3 a.m., laughing to himself. Fumbling with the keys like a drunk thief. Flopped onto the bed. Started snoring. I lay next to him. But I didn't sleep at all. Because fear, anger, and bitterness don't let you sleep. In the morning, I woke up to a strange sound. He was lying on the bathroom floor. His face was twisted. His eyes unfocused. His right arm, limp, like a rag. He was mumbling something, but I couldn't make out a single word. I called the ambulance. The kids were still asleep. In the back of that ambulance, I sat in silence. And one thought kept pounding in my head. Why can't I cry? At the hospital, the doctors told me. Stroke. A serious one. Right side paralyzed. Speech impaired. He would become a high-dependency patient. I called his girlfriend. At first she didn't pick up. Then she finally answered. That's not my problem. That's not my burden to carry. I'm sorry. Part 5. The first few days after he was discharged were like a fog. They taught me how to bathe him. How to lift him without hurting him. How to tell when he needed the bathroom. Suddenly, caretaker became my new title. He just lay there, silent, staring at the ceiling. Sometimes he blinked. Occasionally he mumbled something. And I fed him with a spoon. Changed his diapers. While the girls watched cartoons, I wiped the foam from his lips. Morning after morning. Day after day. Once, he suddenly started screaming. No words, just loud, uncontrollable noise. Something must have hurt. I ran to him, tried to calm him down, but in his eyes, there wasn't pain. Just helplessness. And that's when I realized. My heart stayed quiet. It didn't break. It didn't race. It just watched in silence. Detached. One day, our oldest daughter asked, Mommy, is Daddy a baby now? I didn't answer. Because I had no words left. My thoughts no longer listened to me. I didn't live, I executed tasks. His mother came to visit once. She sat for about an hour. Looked at him, looked at me, looked at the kids. Then sighed and said, You're a strong woman. You'll manage. And then she left. He tried to speak now and then. Once, he whispered, You are kind. But by then, it meant nothing. Because I felt nothing. No pain. No anger. No fire. Just emptiness. Like the silence after a storm. Part 6. 6 months passed. 6 months of sleepless nights, back pain, and deafening silence after dark. I was doing everything on autopilot, feeding him, turning him over, dressing him. He had become part of the routine. Like furniture. Like a shadow. And that's when I started noticing the little things. He ate solid food without a flinch. Held his spoon just fine, as long as he thought I wasn't looking. One day, he clearly said, It's hot. I looked at him. Straight. Calm. Don't be afraid to get better. It's not a crime. He said nothing. Instead, he sank deeper into his helpless act. But I already knew. Because that same day, I heard him talking on the phone. His voice was different, steady, confident, even flirty. And laughter. He could laugh again. I checked his phone. It wasn't hard. He didn't hide it anymore. He thought I was no longer a threat. And there she was. Her. Again. The neighbor. The same one who used to tap on our bedroom window. She didn't tap anymore. Now she sent emojis. My lion, I want to see you. I said nothing. Just watched. She started showing up around the yard again. By chance. Carrying grocery bags. Pretending to pass by. Throwing quick glances toward our window. Smiling. And he came alive. Watched her from the porch. Nodded. Like everything was fine. I waited. Because I knew, she wouldn't hold back for long. She'd come in eventually. One day, I invited her myself. Want to come in for some coffee and cake? The kids are at school. It's quiet. She came in easily. Like it was her place. Looked around, as if checking what had changed. Sat across from me. Smiled. Started talking. About the weather. About home repairs. About how strong he used to be. What a real man he was. And I just watched. Watched her flash her eyes. Play with her voice. Look not at me, but at him. And that's when I'd had enough. I picked up the spoon next to the plate of cake, walked over to her, and said, "You're the main one now. Feed him." Then I walked out of the room. Calm. Silent. Because what else was left? Part 7. I packed our things. Quietly. No screaming. No dramatic last words. Just folded the girls' clothes, gathered the documents, and tucked away the old photo album they once colored together. Then I took the kids. And left. We rented a small apartment in another part of town. It still smelled like someone else's life. But I didn't care. Because there was peace. No loud apologies. No tapping at my window. No stranger's eyes peering into my already bruised soul. He called. He couldn't speak, just sent voicemails filled with moans and breathy whispers. Then texts followed. "I can't do this without you. I'm sorry. Please come back." I never replied. Because he had a voice once. He had the chance to choose me every day, and didn't. He waited until there were no options left. A month later, I heard he had another stroke. This time, a real one. No pretending. No act. He was rushed back to the hospital. And you know what? None of the tigresses showed up. I didn't go. And I never will. Not because I'm vengeful. But because I finally learned to protect myself. I no longer save men who spent years silently killing me with their lies and excuses. In the end, I chose myself. Thank you for watching to the end. Like it if you want. Stay silent if you need. Share your story if you're ready. But if you've ever been where I was, I see you. And you're not alone.